Creations. You can find me at amylanham.com. So yesterday I showed you guys how to do a stain, and you can't really tell because I let my son paint on my test piece of wood. But because I loved this stain so much, this DIY stain, I wanted to show you, one, how to make the stain, and then two, because I have lots of steel wool and lots of vinegar and a week and this extra piece of wood, I was going to show you what happens each day. It's because I left it in for 5 days and I know what the stain looks like after 5 days, but I want to see if that's actually necessary. I know around day 2, day 3 is when mine actually started to change color. So I want to see how far into the process you actually have to go to get good coloration on your stain. So let's see. So I just have steel wool. This is actually the coarsest steel wool that you can buy. After reading online, I realized that you're actually supposed to buy the finest steel wool that you can find, the quadruple 4 zeros. But my husband bought the coarsest one, which is okay. It still works great. I think that's why it needed to stay in a little longer. So I actually had done this once and messed up. So a couple things to keep in mind when you're doing this. One, you want to spread out your steel wool. That's really important. Two, you want your steel wool in the very bottom of your mason jar. You don't want it at the top because you need it to interact with the air, and the steel wool will actually trap the air from the vinegar on the bottom, and you won't be able. It won't do it. It won't rust. So that's what you want to do. Press it all the way down and then go ahead and add your vinegar in. I just bought brand new vinegar. So another thing to keep in mind, this makes a lot. As you can see, I filled mine up to right here, and I stained 3 shelves, front and back and the sides. My test piece of test piece of wood just on the front, and then I also stained a treasure chest. So, okay, so you want to just pour it in. I'm not going to do quite as much as I did last time. And there we go. So now if you have the lid to it, you're going to put the lid just halfway on. You don't want it all the way on. And now we wait. Hello, so it's been the 5 days and I have the board that I stained with the DIY stain for all of the 5 days. And I also added the wax onto the bottom portion of the board from here down. So I'm going to show you the difference of the days. So here is day 1, and as you can see, it's pretty light. It's got a nice stain to it. And then down here is the wax portion. So you can see the wax darkens it up just a little bit, and it really brings out some of the places where the stain maybe didn't take all the way, like right in through here. And then here's day 2, and then you can see that it just slowly gets darker. Day 3, and then there's a big difference between day 2 and day 3, and then by day 4, we're not getting as dark. And then here's day 5. It's not necessary to leave it in all the way until day 5. You could take it out on day 3 and get similar results. And again, you can see that slight difference in the wax. This part up here is not waxed, and this part down here is waxed. And if you look, I'm gonna rub my hand over this, the wax, see how dirty my fingers are? The stain continues to come off onto things if you don't put something over it. So you can see how, and then if I rub it on the waxed portion, my hand stays relatively clean. Whereas if I rub it on this portion, my hands get much dirtier. So that's something to keep in mind depending on where you're gonna put this. The Annie Sloan Soft Wax, the clear, is what I had on hand. So that's what I used on this, and I really like the way that it looks. You're gonna need to put quite a bit on in order the wood really soaks it up. So, and you obviously can't feel it, but this is much softer than this is. Once you put the wax on, it softens the wood, and I think it gives it a very nice look. And like I said, it picks up more of those areas that the stain may not have taken all the way. So like right in through here and in some of the knot area. Again, we bought the coarsest steel wool, so I think it's a 3, and so that's why I had to let mine sit for so long in the vinegar, because if you buy a finer steel wool like the quadruple 0, I've heard that you can get these results within a couple of hours. So definitely be aware of which steel wool you've purchased, and I would definitely test a piece of wood to make sure that you love the stain that you're getting.